I've played a lot of driving games and sims over the years, starting with Forza on the original Xbox, and most recently Project Cars on the Xbox Series X. While I very much enjoyed playing NASCAR Racing 2003 on my computer, I've done most of my driving on Xbox consoles. The NASCAR games were fun on the controller because it was easy just to turn left. The arcade-style games like Grid were fun on the controller as well. It was the games and sims with the road courses that weren't much fun for me, because it was harder to steer and shift with the controller, which made me not very good, and that wasn't much fun. My first wheel was for the original Xbox, and you placed it on your lap with side supports against your legs to help it stay in position. It worked okay and made playing a bit more fun. By the time the Xbox One was released, there were some pretty good accessories available like steering wheels and pedals for the console, so I decided to build my own dedicated racing chair with a sturdy stand to mount my wheel and pedals. I already had the Xbox 360 wheel and pedal set. I also had a nice leather chair to sit in, so all I needed to do was build a stand to bring all the components together. I could kind of visualize in my head what I wanted it to be like, but to get a better perspective, I made this little cardboard model to get a feel for the shape. I'm not a big DIY guy, but I thought this would be a fun project with a worthwhile purpose. So I took on the challenge with an idea as to where to begin, but not knowing how it would end. I just let it evolve into whatever it becomes, and hopefully, it would make me faster. I started with a single 4x8 foot sheet of MDF board from Home Depot, and that was all the wood I needed to build this stand. I already had a shelf that was left over from an old entertainment cabinet that I was going to use to mount the steering wheel on. I marked and cut out the pieces I needed to build the stand, and the MDF board was really easy to work with. I was able to bevel some of the edges for a better look, and using sandpaper to get a smoother finish was a breeze. Since I was going to be using this on my carpet, I decided to install some furniture sliders on the bottom so I could easily move the stand in front of my TV when I wanted to use it, and then back out of the way when I was done. Once I had all the pieces cut out, I put them together to test the fit, and more importantly to make sure I was able to sit in the chair with my legs comfortably fitting underneath, which they did. It quickly became apparent to me that I was going to have to secure the pedal set in some way to keep them from sliding around, so I took a piece of the leftover MDF board and made a cutout tray for the pedals to sit in. To finish the look and make it a bit more comfortable to rest my bare feet on, I went to the fabric store to get some soft vinyl to wrap the tray and padded it with some batten also from the fabric store. It was hard to get a tight fit on such an odd shape with the soft vinyl, but with my zero upholstery skills, I somehow managed to make it acceptable. Once I had that done, I painted the base of the stand and added some wood strips to make the pedals lay at an angle so it would be easier for my foot to step on the gas. Once mounted, I was happy with the way it turned out. I wanted to secure the legs to the base, so I made these two plates for the legs to sit in. I didn't have much MDF left and didn't want to bevel the edges with a sander this time, so I went back to Home Depot and got some trim to make a more finished edge, which also made the plates a tad bigger. I thought I would paint the plates, so I got some wood filler and filled in all the gaps and screw holes. I wasn't sure it was going to paint well, no matter how smooth I sanded it, so then I got the idea to wrap it with some carbon fiber looking contact paper that I ordered online. My wrapping skills were getting better, and I got a nice fit on the two plates. Then it was time to mount the plates on the base, which I did by screwing them on from underneath. With that part finished, it was time to move over to the stand which I had been painting to prepare it for mounting onto the base. For better support, I put those two boards on the sides at an angle, and they were also from the leftover MDF board. To finish them, I used more of the carbon fiber looking contact paper, and they were real easy to wrap, and the results looked nice. I countersunk all the screws I used to attach those boards to the legs, and then covered the holes with some button snaps that I had picked up at the fabric store. I wanted the stand to have an automotive feel to it, which is why I painted it kind of a primer gray, and the snaps were meant to be like rivets. After placing the stand on the base, I didn't like how the legs fit in the plates. Originally I thought I'd just square it off at the front, but that didn't look good at all, so I fashioned some trim to make it look more uniform, and then covered it with carbon fiber, which hid the seam, making that adjustment almost undetectable. I installed two front struts to help with the overall stability of the stand, and then filled in the seams with wood filler before painting them to match the rest of the stand. Painting was my favorite part of the project because it was a sign that some part had been finished. My only worry was getting a passing grade from the inspector, my dog Rusty. I drilled a hole in the board that I was going to mount the wheel on so the cable could run through it. With everything painted and looking good, it was time to move inside for the final setup, but I had another idea, and that was to add some red pinstriping to the stand. I'd got a red car seat cover at Pep Boys for my leather chair, and I thought some red pinstripes would tie it all together. The tape went on nice and straight, and I was very happy with the results. Having now moved inside, I had one thing left to do, and that was some cord management. One cord was for power to the wheel and pedals, and the other cable went to the Xbox. Still trying to get an automotive look, I decided to run the cables through some foam hoses normally used to insulate AC pipes and stuff like that. I secured the hose for the power cord to the base of the stand and curved the hose going to the Xbox. I liked the way it turned out and thought it was much better than having a bunch of cords just dangling. With that done, I was finally finished, and I had successfully created my very own one-of-a-kind sim racing rig. It worked just as I had imagined, and it was really fun getting to drive in a proper position, and I actually did get faster. Unfortunately, during all that fun, I was bitten by the sim racing bug, and now I wanted to improve my rig even more. So online I went and ordered the Thrustmaster TX wheel, the Thrustmaster 599XX Evo wheel add-on, the Thrustmaster TH8A shifter add-on, and the Thrustmaster T3PA pedal set. Installing all those new components would take some modifications to my stand, with the biggest mod happening because of the new TH8A shifter. I'd never used a stick in Sims, so I was excited to find out how much the shifter would add to the immersive feel of sim racing. First, I needed to come up with a way to mount the shifter, as I hadn't considered it in my original design and build. I still had some MDF board left over, so I decided to make a shelf on the right side of my rig to accommodate the shifter. I wanted it to fit tight like the pedal tray, so I cut out the hole for the shifter to drop in, and then it clamps on from underneath. I checked the fit, and it was snug, so I went ahead and secured the shelf to the stand, filled in the seams with more wood filler, and then painted it. The only thing I didn't like was the slight gap around the shifter as it sat in the hole, so I took some of the leftover hose I used to cover the power cord and cut out a piece to line the opening. That did the trick, And now I had a snug, nice-looking installation of my new TH8A shifter that was now ready for me to pound some gears. To accommodate the plugs and cables on the new TX wheel, I had to enlarge the hole I had made, and I found a grommet thing online to help close up the hole and make my cable management look more tidy. I had to take out my beautiful pedal tray to make room for my new Thrustmaster T3PA pedal set, and I got some hinges and brackets at Home Depot to help secure the pedal set and keep it from moving around. Looking down on it, I got the idea to take some more of that red pinstriping and lay a strip across the top of the pedal set for some of that red accent color. I think it was a nice touch. To help balance the overall look of the stand that was now heavy on the right side due to the shifter installation, I decided to take a Forza water bottle I had won at the 12 Hours of Sebring by setting a fast time at the Forza exhibition demo booth and mount it using a carbon fiber water bottle holder for cyclists I had found online. I also found a Sparco shift knob online, and I was able to swap it out with the bland round knob that came with the TH8A shifter, and it looked and felt really good. The last thing to install was the Thrustmaster 599XX Evo steering wheel, and that was a super nice upgrade from the stock wheel that originally came with the TX. That's it! I was finally done with my do-it-yourself sim racing rig, and I couldn't be happier. It looked really nice, and the new hardware from Thrustmaster really made a difference. I had a basic idea as to what I wanted, but the more involved it got, the more I began to add new elements, and thankfully, it all came together and I created something that was super functional without being an eyesore. We're done, right? Nope. Somewhere along the line, I found out about the butt kicker and what it does, so of course I had to add one to my rig. The butt kicker is a transducer that takes the low notes in the sim sound and turns it into a vibration which you feel when it's mounted to your seat. That allows you to actually feel the engine's vibration as you rev it. You feel bumps and holes in the track as you drive over them. You definitely feel the rumble strips on the track corners. And if that's not enough, you can feel the clanking of the gears when you shift. It's an incredible addition to any sim race rig and definitely raises the level of immersion. Mounting can be tricky because you got to get it just in the right spot, but I got lucky because with a little modification my leather seat had the perfect spot to mount it. I took a 7/8 inch socket, a long bolt and some washers, and mounted the socket to my seat's base. Then I clamped the butt kicker to the socket. The kicker comes with its own amp and I plugged it into my AV receiver. The installation was pretty simple and worked perfectly. It's probably my favorite part of the whole rig. Okay, now we're done. Nope. One day I was at IKEA playing hide and seek with my friends, and I saw a display of LED lights. So I bought a pack and I mounted them underneath the stand where the steering wheel mounts. Since I usually race in a darkened room, this was a nice touch and added the wow factor to those that I showed my creation to, but couldn't care less about sim racing. They see colorful lights and they get excited, and I don't know why. Now we're really done, so it's time to see this bad boy in action. With easy access to Daytona International Speedway, I've been fortunate to see all kinds of race cars out on the track. I'm especially fond of the older cars because it's cool to see what they drove back in the day. The Sims do a good job of replicating these cars so we can drive them, and I was excited when the Daytona Road Course finally became available to drive on the console, so I could experience just a little bit of what it's like to drive these amazing race cars around Daytona. One car that I've watched at the track has been particularly fun for me to drive in the racing sim Project Cars. Can you guess what it is by these pictures I took? Yep, it's the Mercedes 190 Evo, and it's super fun to race in Project Cars. It's not too fast and not too slow. It's the kind of car you gotta drive with your elbows out while sawing at the wheel as you go door to door with other cars on the track. With Project Cars loaded and my Mercedes ready to go, let's take a few laps around Brands Hatch with my do-it-yourself sim racing rig. I'm sorry for the poor video quality you're gonna see. I don't have a proper capture device to record my gameplay and had to just film the TV screen with one of my cameras, but it will at least give you an idea as to what sim racing is like. Someday I'll get the right equipment and film a much better video of my rig in use, but for now this will have to do. So let's go racing.
Pit car's in. Green flag, green flag. Green, green, green.
I'm coming for you, Junior. My favorite thing to do is bump draft. Ah.
Passing the grass. Catching them.
I'm working on it. Whoa!
Limit 55. Keep it under 4,000 seconds.
Oh no! Oops.
What happened?
I'm not very good at this game. Where do you put it in reverse?
You alright?
I'm fine.
Looks like we're bent up on the back end.
Oh well.
Here comes the leader. Pit car's in. Green flag, green flag. Green, green, green.
What'd you hit?
I don't know. Oh wait, okay there. Ah.
You're doing really good driving. It usually takes a long time to get the feel of it. You're doing good though. Catch him. You can catch him. Make the pass. You can catch him.
Limit 55. Keep it under 4,000 seconds.
Whoa!
Let off the gas. Let off the gas. Get it straightened out and then go. Okay, now you can step back on. going.
Yeah! Let's see if I can catch up to the Hooters car and do a little bump draft.
55. Keep it under 4,000 in seconds.
Man, you weren't kidding. Catch the Hooters car.
I'm trying.
You're getting. What are you gonna do if you catch up to the back of that car?
Ram him.
Got the draft now, he's pulling you in. Made the pass.
Car out back.
He's right beside you. You passed him. Now you're about to hit the
Car in back.
monsters in.
Oh no! Oh, I was doing so good.
What happened?
I spun out.
Dives down low. Blows by the Hooters car.
See ya.
Not in last place anymore. Moving up on the Monsters
I
Inc.
started
car.
to move in over here, and then I hit the railing, I guess, and then I bumped that car. And then it was all downhill from there.
Roof flaps came up.
But I'm getting better.